Hey everyone, James from TeaDB here, bringing you another Inbetweenisode. So today I am going to be drinking some semi-aged raw pu'erh, a tea that is available. But first going to talk a little bit about this tea generally. Fairly famous tea, a well-known tea, and the tea is the 2003 Baoyan, so that's like the flame. It comes in a jinsha form normally. I think all the time, but I'm not totally sure. So I think 250 to 300 grams normally. And it's a Xiaguan production, but it's kind of an unusual one. It's meant for export to Tibet. And so it's a type of tea that they're often drinking with butter there. So those of you that may have heard my interview with Glenn on Crimson Lotus Tea's channel, we talked a little bit about that and how they drink it over there. So it's intended to be sort of a workhorse tea, a tea that you can drink a lot of. I've had a handful of versions throughout the years. This is the 2003 Taiwanese stored one. And so the material is definitely pretty different from your normal standard Xiaguan tool or just production in general. It kind of has rougher material, which can also help to make it a little more affordable. And I think it's definitely a sort of tea that's worth trying to see if it's sort of in your wheelhouse. And because it is rougher, you can usually get it for a pretty reasonable price. So this version definitely pretty reasonably priced, considering that it is now, this video being released in 2021, 18 years old. So a couple of past versions I've had. I had a 2005 version that I got from Xiaguan shop, and I had that probably back in 2014, so when it was not even 10 years old. And it was actually one of my most unpleasant tea sessions, as my teapot got clogged when I was doing it, and I was stupid enough to drink it, and it was just an insanely pungent brew, and it made me feel quite ill. So a lot of things going wrong in that, pot going wrong, Kunming dry storage, maybe not the best for this. I think this is a tea that definitely benefits from having that extra boost of Taiwan or Malaysia or like a hot box or something, and also a little bit younger, 9 years old. So this is a tea that's twice as old as that one. And I also was able to drink through a big sample of a 1990s Malaysian stored Baoyan recently, and that one is quite nice, very mellow, very easy drinking. I don't think I could have identified that in a blind tasting as a Xiaguan production. So it's definitely quite unique. These are probably not going to be like the absolute most interesting aged teas, but they are really good budget daily drinkers in my opinion. So in the effort of full disclosure, I was on the tasting panel for October for Teaswelike. So this is a tea that I got, and so you can see we did a blind tasting. This is sample number R, and I mean I like the tea when I tried it. I am not being paid royalties or anything like that by Teaswelike, but I was on the tasting panel that did end up selecting this tea. So I don't have any financial incentives tied with Teaswelike or anything invested in it. So no conflict of interest as far as that goes. I know the guys. I'm friends with them. I think they do a good job with what they're doing. But wanted to make that clear. Okay, so let's get on to drinking this tea. So yeah, this tea was recently added to the Teaswelike catalog, $34 for 250 grams, so that's 14 cents a gram, so pretty reasonable. I'm using sort of my standard ratio for semi-aged sheng, a 6.5 grams, and this is like a 95 milliliter, and this is steep number 3 and 4. So I had a couple earlier this morning. I'm going to be drinking the rest of this now. Nice aged, heavy wood, some of those, not quite pine, but this very specific sort of wood. I'd say compared to other Xiaguans, it smells fairly different. It doesn't have a heavy resinous nature to it, or like, it smells like it's ready to drink, I should say. Cheers. Nice thick round body. Definitely very smooth. It's really difficult for me to imagine that this tea was the same one that gave me such a punchy, smoky brew when I had it, when I had that Kunming version that stuck up my pot. This is like very, very drinkable, very ready to drink. I think it's a profile that's an excellent reference point if you haven't had a lot of aged factory tea. Just what some of these things can become. A lot of these teas have a reputation for starting out very smoky, very rough. And this tea with 18 years of Taiwanese storage is anything but that. So overall, I mean, if you're going to knock this tea, the profile of it's very simple. It's not a super memorable tea, but it has a lot of basic things going for it that I can see why it'd be a pretty solid drinker. So I'm going to do steep number 5 here on camera. So it brews up a pretty solid orange red. This is not a tea with incredible depth, but it does have a nice little lingering aftertaste here. Really not getting much bitterness at all. Might be slightly watery, but you know, it's relatively there. Like a little bit more in that like rounder category rather than being sharper. And steep number 5. Let's do it. And, you know, a longevity for this, we'd expect to go a pretty standard amount. Definitely don't expect this to go for a super long time, but should be solid enough. Yeah, so the aroma is dying down just a little bit more. Still kind of in that woody vein. Cheers. So it's just a really mild, woody sweetness to this. I don't know. I mean, I struggle to come up with really complicated notes for this tea. It's mainly just very drinkable. It's a really nice profile. I think it's hard to find semi-aged tea this inexpensive, available to the Western market especially. So definitely one I recommend. In my initial sessions for this, I had internally gave this something like a 6 rating. Again, that sounds about right to me. I might upgrade that slightly here, since this is my, I think, 4th session with this. I'm going to get a little more granular. Probably give this like a 6.3, 6.2, 6.2. We'll go with that. Of course, these ratings are kind of like arbitrary. If you hit me in a good mood, maybe I'll up it by a point or 2. But, you know, I'd say my initial evaluation, I feel pretty similar to it. This is just a really reliable workhorse tea. If you're like me, you like those semi-aged brews, this is a good one. And it's not very expensive at all. Maybe a little bit of creaminess in there. Okay. And I am drinking relatively fast, but this is a very easy tea to drink. This is also probably one, if we're to look at sort of the pros and cons, it's probably not one that's going to age and develop a lot more. I think this is more or less sort of its final state. So if you were to buy this tea, it's not one I would say, oh, you need to set this aside for another 10 years. A lot of Xiaguan teas, even in this age range, are sort of like that, where it's like, starting to turn the corner, but it could use a bit more time. Like some of these Jiaji tools, I feel about that way for most all of them, in the sense that I think they do have more upside to improve. This tea, on the other hand, I think is very clean, and it's very drinkable, and I think it's just ready to find its way into a pot. Cheers. So this tea steep even better. So I think it does a little bit better also when pushed a little bit more. Getting a very mild bitterness to this steep. Maybe even a hint of that resinous activity that I said I wasn't picking up on earlier. Not quite as heavy on that sort of punchy, strong Xiaguan-ness. Yeah, should have brewed it a little harder. Even hints of sort of like mentholiness to this on this brew too, so it's sort of that camphor genre of flavors. And yeah, definitely different from your average Xiaguan. I've been drinking my fair of Xiaguans recently, so it's interesting to have this as sort of a contrast. Yeah, so definitely recommend this tea. Go check it out, Teaswelike. They have a variety of semi-aged pu'erh. Definitely, they do good work over there sourcing stuff. Unfortunately, they don't offer samples, but a lot of their stuff I think is good enough that you could probably buy it and be pretty satisfied. So again, 6.2 rating for this tea. Very solid, very good price for it. Thank you all for tuning in. I will see you all next time.